right, so we're going to be working on percent problems, and that includes percent, whole, and part. Those are the three pieces that we're always looking for whenever we're doing the ratio table especially. But whenever we're solving, we have these three pieces, and one of them is going to be missing. So that's what we're solving. So yesterday what we focused on was always looking for the part that was missing. So that's not going to be the case anymore. Now we've got the three different things we might be looking for, and it's up to us to figure out which one is missing. So we set up our ratio table, and we always label when we don't have real labels. Tomorrow we're going to have real world problems, and we're going to have actual words to put here, like real things. But for right now, because we're generic, we're just going to say is part of whole. And we use the words is and of because when they describe a part, they're always going to say it's is. Whenever they're describing a whole amount, they're always going to say the word of. Now, when we have word problems, we're going to have to dig a little bit more tomorrow. Okay? So, is part of whole. Now, and I told you yesterday, it didn't matter which side you put your percent on. I think I was in the habit yesterday of putting my percent here. But in a lot of the examples that you're going to see today, I had the percent in the last one. It does not matter. Okay? What matters is that the percent goes together. Meaning that if it was 55%, then I'm putting 55 over 100. Otherwise, it's not going to work, okay? Because it has to be a percent by putting the 55 with the 100. All right. So I'm going to do a couple examples. And the first example is the question, what percent this is our first one. What percent is 25 out of, and let's say, I'm going to do it different because this one didn't work out very pretty. I don't know if I have a better one, to be honest with you. I'm not good at this. We'll say 35. I don't know if it's going to be better or not. So what percent is 25 out of 35? So I'm trying to figure out the percentage that goes with 25 out of 35. And to do that, I'm going to set up my beautiful ratio table. And I always have the two columns and, or sorry, the 2 rows and 4 columns, making this first a little bit longer because that's my label. And that's where I'm going to put my is part of whole. Now, going back to my problem. I'm always looking for my first thing. What was the first thing I was always looking for yesterday? Because I liked that it gave me 2 numbers all the time. The percent. Because remember, if I can find a percent, then I've got my percent. I've got my 2 numbers. Did they give me a percent? Look at all these. Is there a percent sign anywhere? No. There's unfortunately not. So what's going to happen is, and again, I don't care which one you put it in, I'm not going to know what the percent is. But do I always know the second part of a percent? The 100. The 100 is never going to change. If it's a percentage, it's always going to be 100. So the 100 on the bottom is always going to be there when I'm talking about percent of a number. But in this case, I don't know the percent. Okay? I don't know the part. I don't know the percent. I know percent. Okay. Let it go. All right. So now, if I have is 25 out of 35. Is 25. Where do you think 25 should go? Top or bottom? Top. Why? Because of the key word here, is. All right. And where should the out of 35 go? On the bottom. On the bottom. Because again, keyword of. These are going to be nice to us and easy for setting up our ratio tables, and that's what makes ratio tables the easiest way to solve these types of problems. So I need to figure out how to go from 35 and get to 100, because remember, I'm starting here where I know stuff, and I'm going to the other side. So this is the direction I need to go. How can I go from 35 to 100?
Divide.
Can you go straight there, or what do you need?
You need a middleman.
We need a middleman. All right, so we're going to need a plankton here. And so, what do you want to use?
5.
So 5 sounds good. Let me remind you that whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So if I make this 5, what do I have to do to get there? Divide by 7. Do you want to do 27 divided by 7? Or 25 divided by 7? No, that's not going to be good. Now I can't think of anything else, but what are the other options that we have?
5.
Well, we do have 5, but then we'd have to divide by 7. We don't want to do it. It's too much work. Is that the perfect whiny voice? 10 doesn't work nice.
Yeah, that's 25.
Because you'd have to divide by a weird number. What about multiples? Remember that we said that if it's not easy to find a factor, multiples will work too. So how about I do 35 times 100, and what is that?
35 times 100. 350.
2 zeros. 2 zeros times,
Oh.
right?
Whoa. I'm so dumb.
So how do I go from here to here? Times 100. And then how do I go from here to here? Yeah, it's the two numbers I use, so it's not a whole lot of extra mind work there. But what do I do the bottom? To the top. So 25 times 100?
25 times 100, 2,500.
2,500. Now, unfortunately, that ugly math is happening because I do have to divide by 35. So off to the side, we're just going to do a little division problem. 250 divided by 35. This is worse than the last example I did with my other class. So 35 goes into 2.
5 does not go into 2.
How about 25?
No, add another 0.
All right. 250. Well, now we're going to have to work.
Yes, but you must.
Let's do some guess. Guess and check. Always start with my 5. That's my go-to. 25. Is that high enough? 250 is what I'm looking for.
Not at all.
All right.
6.
Try 6.
Or then 7. Then 7.
Okay. 18. That's 210.
Not high enough.
One more.
One more.
I think 7
Yeah,
the baby. 7 the baby.
7.
35. Carry the 3. 245. That is a ding, ding, ding. So 7 was what we did. And 245 is what we have here. Subtract 250 minus 245.
It would be 5.
Whew, now I've got 50. So
It does, but only once.
one time. So that's 35. Subtract and you get
25.
5 here. 4 minus 3 is 1. Woo, this is like never ending. This is horrible. If I annex a 0, what do I have to do?
What's the 5? I forgot.
We have to put a decimal there. Annex a 0. Drop it down. 5 was too much, so we're going to have to go 4. 35 times 4.
35 times.
I feel like this is a bad idea. 20, carry the 2, 12, 14, 140.
Oh, one more.
We get 10, annex a 0. Am I going to get 100? I'm not. So here's what's going to happen. This is going to go on for a while. So what I really am going to do, believe it or not, is I'm going to forget about this annexing the 0 stuff because it's already a disaster. So I'm going to get rid of all those zeros I just annexed. And here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to make it a fraction. I'm going to make it 15 over 35. 71 and 15 over 35. What's 15 over 35 going to be?
It's.
Can I simplify it?
More, yes, you can.
Divide by what?
5. 2.
5.
No, 5.
5. So 3 over 7. So my answer is 71 and 3/7%. This is horrible. This is a really bad example. The last one was not like this. So my answer is, what percent is 25 out of 35? It's 71 and 3/7%. And the only time your answer will have a percent sign in it is when it talks about a percent, but has no percent in the problem. So that means you're the one coming up with a percent. So that was a disaster. That was hideous. We'll never do that one again. All right. Can I erase this? Does anybody need a picture of it before I erase?
Yeah. I'll take a picture of it.
All right, hurry up.
I'll take a picture with my.
I'll take a picture.
You do realize this is going to be on my Pasco Connect. Is this one video?
Yeah, you can go on YouTube and see this.
That's right.
Just stop.
All right. No, I don't know how to pause it. Can you pause the video? Are you recording?
Well, if it's on
Are you
camera.
recording on YouTube or on your
Yeah.
own camera?
Don't do it. I don't care that much. It's okay. I don't want to.
Wait, no.
All right, next. So next is, now it wants me to figure this one out. What is 55% of 20? So again, let's make our beautiful ratio table. This one will not be hideous, I promise. That last one was just a huge mess, yeah. Is part of whole. All right. What is 55% of 20? What do we have?
Oh, that.
What is our favorite thing to put in?
Percent.
The percentage. So how can we put this guy in?
You put it on
It
the
goes
top
on the
of
top.
the first row of is part.
Okay, and what's on the bottom?
Of 20.
No, 100.
20.
You're not done with the percent yet until you have the top and bottom done. A lot of people yesterday were putting 20 over here. That's not where it goes. 55% of 100 is 55% is 55 per 100. All right, the next thing,
Put the 20 at the last row of it of whole.
of 20. So you put it at the bottom right. Why again?
Because it's the second whole.
Because it says the word of.
Of.
All right, the word of tells me, ding, 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 that's the one we need. All right, so what we're missing is this guy right here, the part, okay? So this is just like yesterday. How do you go from 100 to get to 20?
Divided by 10. No, 5.
Now you can use a middleman if you didn't see that. If you want to use 10 as a middleman, go ahead. But I saw that I could go that way, all the way. When I do the bottom,
You do the top.
and that's going to be
Nobody answered this, please.
55.
10. 11. Oh, boys.
So if you got a 55% on a test and there were 20 questions, you got 11 of them correct.
Just like a F.
All right. Again, if you want a picture, take it before I move on.
Once again,
This one's not as ugly as the last one. So that was just like yesterday. Now this next one will be a different one than yesterday. All right. So now this one, the question says 60% of what number is 12? 60% of what number is 12? So I'm setting up my beautiful table. Because this ratio table, hopefully, if you guys are grasping the is part of whole, will answer everything I need after I plug it in. Are you copying this down?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do I know?
that
Ella?
60%.
Okay, how do I write that? Sure. So, look guys, I'm going to put it over here now.
What?
Because it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure you know that.
Oh.
So 60%, as long as the 60 is over 100, can be written all the way on the other side too. It does not matter. It's not stuck in one space. So if I'm doing 60%, what else do they give us?
They gave us 12.
12.
Yeah, we took care of this, and now they're telling us is 12. And where does is 12 go?
Next to is P.
Is,
Because it
Point.
is. Oh,
I
okay.
mean, percent.
now, if you can see a relationship from the one to the other, then we can go from here. Or if you don't see it, we'll use a middleman. So can we go from 60 to get to 12?
No, wait.
Remember, the way I know which way to go is the one that has all that I know goes the other way. Okay? You could, but what if you didn't know that? What else could I use as a middleman?
You can use
10.
6.
He could
Six?
multiply by 2.
I'm calling out.
Oh, yes. 6.
I feel like 6 would be a good one because I see 12 and 60.
Divide by 10.
So how do I go from 60 to get to 6?
You have to divide it by 10.
And then what do I do the top?
You do
All right, and that's going to be what?
10.
10
All right. And then here to here?
Times 6.
times 2.
No, times
Times 2.
I hate myself.
Times 2. And that's going to be
20.
12. I mean, 20. Sorry.
20. And so my answer is 20. So it said that you got a 60% on the test and you had 12 of them right. And your mom's like, well, how many questions were there? The answer is 20. There were 20 questions. I only got 12 right. That's like my kid. He comes home and he goes, "Oh, I got a lot of them right." And I'm like, "Well, how many did you get wrong?" 'Cause getting a lot right is great, but all right. So if you need a picture of that, take a picture of that. Okay, can you open the projector for me, please?
Nope, not turn it off. Did you turn it off?
So, you want me to erase that for you? Nope, I got it. Thank you, though. I have to go up there. All right, guys. So this page is in our interactive notebook. So please turn to the page that says percent problems using rate per 100.
Wait.
If for some reason you don't, you can take a picture over this.
It's because my phone was messing up.
So with this one, if you don't have the page for whatever reason, you can always take the notes, but you should have the page in your notebook. We glued it in on Monday. So turn to the page. All right. It says in a percent proportion, one ratio compares a part to a whole. The other ratio is equivalent percent, written as a fraction with a denominator of 100. So in 7th grade, you're going to see how to solve problems like this. And your family might want to show you how to do it with what they might call the butterfly or the fishtail method. But this is 7th grade material. So I need you to focus more on the 6th grade way of doing it, which is rate per 100, not using pre-algebra, okay? Because this is using pure algebra. So here are 3 examples, again, where we're missing a part, missing a percent, missing a whole. So 3 different things we could be missing. You have to figure that out, and using your ratio table, you should be able to. So I'm going to add to this because, of course, they didn't write my beautiful part that I like to have on there. So I'm just going to extend every one of these to put my labels in that I like. So, and then they put the 100 at the end for percent every single time. You'll have to decide on that. They're just redone. They're pre-done for us, so it doesn't matter, is what I'm trying to say. It could be in the first, it could be in the last. It doesn't matter as long as you put your percent together. So, what percent is 20 of 25 is 18? A percent proportion, and that's vocabulary right there, is just telling me that the ratio is going to be equivalent to a percent. And we're going to write the percent as a ratio over what? What's the bottom number always going to be for a percent? 100. So what percent of 25 is 18? These are not going to be mean to us like mine were. So what do I put in my labels?
In the blue box.
No, what do I put there?
Is percent a whole number?
Maybe you need to write it out. Is part.
Part of whole.
Okay, is part of whole. And I just put is P of W just to be lazy. So, is part of whole. The first thing I always like to put in is percent.
Yes.
What is the percent?
A percent is 100.
No, what is it?
18.
Oh.
Look at the question.
18.
There's
Do you
no
see it?
25.
There's no percent, guys.
Oh.
It's asking you for the percent. It's saying what percent? It doesn't know. So the blank part that I don't know is the percent. I always know that the bottom of it is 100 though. Correct? You always know the 100. So you always have that box filled in your ratio table even if you don't know the percent. Now, of 25, where does that go? Of 25.
Of 25 will go right next to of whole.
Yeah, we've got of 25 is of whole, so we'll put it there, 25. And then what about is 18? Where does that go?
The top. Right,
The top.
right above 25.
All right. So can I go from 25 to get to 100? Because remember, whichever one has both boxes filled in, that's the direction I go from. So I'm going this way this time. 25 to 100, what do I do?
25 to 100.
Multiply by 4.
Multiply by 4. What do I do the bottom?
You do the top.
Do to the top. 18 times 4, do it.
Not mentally.
It won't take you very long. Do it on a piece of paper. Don't shout it out.
Oh, yeah.
you doing this? I see you doing it. Missing half of it. Yep. What is it?
72.
72. 72 what, guys?
It's
No.
part. Percentages.
72%. Percent. Okay? If you don't put the percent sign, you will be wrong. Just like with the other ones, if you put a percent sign and you don't need a percent, then it will be wrong because you've already learned there's differences between a whole number and just a percent. I would move the decimal 2 places and it's not going to be the same.
Second,
Yes.
they already put the percent sign on them.
Yep, I just made it darker for the video. All right. So now example number 2. What is 60% of 300? I fill in my table. Is part of whole. What do I always like to start with? What do I like to start with? What, the percentage. This guy right here, because it gives me 2 boxes. Now they've already put the 100 in, so I'm going to go ahead and put my numbers over there. 60%. This is where my percents go.
The 300 goes to it goes to the W because it has up.
Because it has the word of. Very good. So of 300. So the piece that I'm missing is right here. It's the part that I'm missing.
I know.
Okay?
Times 3.
Times 3. Very good. So again, I'm going this direction now. Because I'm taking from where I have both numbers and going this way. So it's times 3. Would I do the bottom?
You do the top.
Times 3. So remember when it ends with a 0, if I do 6 times 3, and then add the 0 to that answer.
60 times 3 is 180.
180.
Mental.
18 and then a 0 at the end for the 0, the 60. So 180. So my answer is that if I got a 60% on an exam, there was 300 points, that means I only got 180 points. That was a big test.
That means your mom did.
Yeah, that's a D.
That means we're gonna
80%. 80% of what number is 40? 80% of what number is 40?
80% of one number is 40. Oh wait, what? I thought it was something.
All right, what do I like to use first?
The
The percentages. So 80%, they already put the 100 there, so I'll just put my 80 above it. 80%, this is going to be my percent column. And then, what's the other piece they give me? Is 40. Where do I put that, on the top or the bottom? Top, because it's got my is, 40. So this time I'm looking for the whole. Okay, this one I was missing the percent. Missing percent. This one I was missing part. And this one I am missing the whole. 3 different ways that we could be solving these problems. So, do we need a middleman for these? No. They're being nice to us today, I guess. So, how do I go from, well, which way do I go? Do I go from here to here?
Yes.
Yeah, because the one that has 2 is the way I come from. So, 80 to 40 is,
It's really divided by 20.
nope, it's 2.
It's 50.
It's 50.
50. So this is the situation for this one. This one is saying, all right, I got an 80% on the test. I got 40 of them right. And your mom's like, okay, how many questions were there? And you're going to say there were 50 questions. You got 40 of them right. Okay?
That's 10 wrong.
extra good, bro.
Any questions about this? You're doing the rest of the page. Okay? Is part of whole. Just remember, that's what we're looking for. All right, lesson over. Sorry I sound horrible.